Okay, subdural blood is one without the skull or scalp fracture or scalp injury. So there was a film. Okay, so a thin subdural blood over the left cerebral hemisphere, focal subdural hemorrhage on the right parietal area, no skull fracture, no subgleal or subscapular hemorrhage. So what this means forensically is that the subdural hemorrhage occurs when the bridging of the veins between the brain and the dura are torn. So most often due to acceleration and force, sudden movement of the skull, not necessarily from a direct blow to the head, because there is no skull fracture, there's no scalp or subgleal bleeding. So this suggests that the bleeding was caused by brain movement. So that's what that's meaning in the autopsy. And that's brain movement inside the skull, not blunt force impact to the head itself. So this pattern is commonly seen with like sudden collapse, violent physical struggle, rapid positioning, so forth. But it's also, it is not the pattern seen in crushing head trauma or decapitation related injury, none of the above. Now, something I want to get straight real quick is the OA. A lot of individuals were very confused as to what OA really means. So the OA joint laxity, what that means is that the OA joint showed marked laxity. Okay, so when you're looking at this stuff, and I know this because I've done true crime and criminal cases, homicides I have done this for a very long time. And over time I have learned, and I specifically I've taken a few forensic classes, but I've learned more from experience. The OA joint showed marked laxity. Okay, so the OA joint is very strong. It's one of the, it's very difficult to, cause damage to generally. So posterior neck dissection was dissection made from the forensic pathologist. Okay, that was not implicating that there was a neck dissection made by someone else. It showed no soft tissue hemorrhage. So what that tells me and why it matters is if the OA joint, and I'll show you an image, laxity, were caused by violent neck trauma, number one, there would be a hemorrhage in the posterior neck muscles. Okay, there would be torn ligaments with bleeding. There would be damage to surround soft tissues. There's often fractures and so forth. So none of that is present here. And if you read the autopsy, the pathologist is very clear about that. So there's a reason why pathologists put specific wording in there. And that's how things get misconstrued, because if you're not experienced in that, in like true crime and reading homicides and so forth, it's easily to be mistaken. So the absence of any hemorrhage in the posterior neck is critical. In forensic pathology, bleeding equals life if the injury happened while the heart was still pumping blood that would be present. So this tells us, number one, the laxity was not caused by perimortem force. There is no evidence of internal decapitation, and there was no fatal neck injury, because they clearly stated also in the autopsy that the neck wounds that were sustained were superficial. They had not even affected a vein in the neck. So why this is not decapitation or internal capitation? Okay. True decapitation, okay, shows massive hemorrhage in the neck, first off, ligament rupture with bleeding, and often spinal cord disruption. So often the skull base or the cervical fractures, a lot of times. Instead, only thing that we see in here is intact neck soft tissues. He clearly stated that. There's a reason why these pathologists state that for people who are reading these to understand them properly. So intact neck soft tissues automatically tells you, no, there's not. There is no hemorrhage, there's no fractures, there's no spinal cord injury reported. That combination completely rules out decapitation, both external and internal. There is no decapitation. So most likely explanation, okay, and this is going to be an educational thing for most of you. So the explanation for OA laxity in this case, given the totality of findings, the OA joint laxity is most consistent with post-mortem ligament relaxation. So when the body goes to relaxing, when you start to decompose, that specific OA joint is going to do the same. It's no longer going to be hard. It's no longer going to be tough. It's relaxed. So if there's no trauma, there's no hemorrhage, there's no decapitation, none of that. So that is what it is. It is where it's where the post-mortem ligament is relaxing, and that is due to the death. It's due to and you have to remember this is 21 days. So a post-mortem ligament relaxation, handling or positioning of the body. So handling or positioning of the body and early decomposition changes. So the natural joint loosening after death is what this is. This is a documented and, it's your general post-mortem circumstances here. So it has absolutely zero to do with decapitation. The totality of those two specific aspects in the autopsy. So I want to give you all an overview. So basically, taken together, these findings indicate the subdural hemorrhage likely caused by brain movement, like the head impact. No evidence of blunt force trauma was ever indicated. There was no evidence of neck trauma. There was no evidence of decapitation or internal capitation. And the OA joint is incidental post-mortem, not traumatic. So from a forensic standpoint, the neck findings are non-contributory to the cause of death and do not support any narrative of the head being forcibly separated or violently destabilized during life. So you need to remember that. And that is the two aspects that I've been questioned about the most, because a lot of creators are getting this wrong.